it is. It is Monday edition. The edition of Donno Daily where we get to cry a little bit about how we're not going to be able to watch football for a really, really long time, man. That's the harsh reality you get. The second the Super Bowl ends, you're thinking, oh my God, another close game. We watch an excellent halftime show, some decent commercials, some really dumb commercials. But wait, middle of February now. We got to wait till August just to watch preseason football. It's rough. Welcome in everybody who's in with us on the live chat. My guy Chris at the Finns tailgate. Yes, please. Guys, if you're in here right now, and that doesn't just mean the people watching live at 3:55 p.m. here on Monday afternoon. If you watch this later on replay, do us a solid. Be like Chris and smash the like button. Smash the like button. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube. And yeah, tell your friends, man. Tell your friends to tune in. Leave us a comment if you can as well. That goes a long way. Level 2 Noob says, yeah, a couple weeks ago, I promised you guys key lime pie. It was a bait and switch. I promised you if you come and watch us live, you'll get free key lime pie, maybe, a lap dance from the person of your choice. But I just made that last part up. I did promise key lime pie, and I have not delivered on that. Our guy, Ricky J. Mark, we do have to bring Ricky back on as a guest, but he's always trying to get through the gates. He says, let me in, Donno security detail. Let me in, you cowards. My entire security detail is just Manny Chang. So if Manny can stop you, you need to question how hard you're really trying to get in, I think, at the end of the day. So we got Los Angeles Rams 23, Cincinnati Bengals 20. It wasn't always a great game. It was certainly a great defensive game in the second half if you liked watching quarterbacks getting sacked a lot and running backs going nowhere. It was a really good defensive game in the second half. For my money, I thought Aaron Donald should have been the MVP, not Cooper Kupp. Like, I get it. Cooper Kupp was the most impactful player on the offensive side of the football. Aaron Donald was the most impactful player, period. I think he should have been Super Bowl MVP. I really thought the Bengals were going to pull it off, especially when Joe Cool throws that long touchdown. And wasn't that the one where they missed the face mask call, where Jalen Ramsey was taken down by the face mask and they missed it? They screwed that up. But I really thought that the Bengals were going to pull it off. I also thought that the over bettors were going to pull it off. People call me the mush. And for the most part, I lived up to my reputation yesterday. I did win some props, so I didn't go over, right? I bet on the first play. The first offensive play was going to be a run, and it was. The Rams had the ball first. They ran the football on first down. I actually had the first half under, even though I had the full game over. So I did like a Jedi mind trick on myself with that one. So I did win the first half under 23.5. It went just under that. So we cashed a couple of tickets yesterday. But the full game over 48.5, it ended up being 43 points. With the way the third quarter started, we're thinking we got this. The over, no problem. We're not even sweating it. And then defense happened in the late third quarter into the fourth quarter. And this is the one that is, I'm sure this killed a lot of the bettors yesterday. The Los Angeles Rams did win the game. I bet on the Los Angeles Rams, but I bet the spread. I bet Rams -4, and they won the game by 3, and they botched an extra point in the game, the one that was on their second touchdown. Instead of 14 points, it got them to 13 points. I had Rams -4, so if they hadn't botched that extra point, at least I would have had a push, and a push is better than a loss. So on my 2 biggest bets yesterday, again, I won some props, including the national anthem over. Give credit to my guy Lee Sterling for that. He was convinced that it would go over, and it did go over a minute 44. So I won some props, but my 2 biggest bets of the night were Rams -4 L and over 48.5 L. So we'll get him next time. Next year's Super Bowl, I'm sure, is going to go better for a lot of us out there. So, hold on. I don't know why Siri thinks, I hope Siri didn't just try to call somebody by mistake. Yeah, technology. You guys noticed that 80% of the Super Bowl commercials were either crypto or electric cars. Like between the two, and then I'm sure there were some beer commercials thrown in, but it was primarily crypto and electric cars. I thought that one of the crypto commercials, for my money, was the best commercial of the night, and that was the Larry David commercial for FTX. Oh, that was splendid. No, not a good idea. He nixed the Declaration of Independence. He didn't like the invention of the wheel. Oh, my God. And then, I don't know, crypto? I don't know. I don't know about that. That was fantastic. I thought the Larry David FTX commercial, for me, that won the Super Bowl commercial list. I like the one with Schwarzenegger. Now, not funny, but I'm a huge Sopranos fan. So that Chevy electric Silverado commercial, an electric pickup truck. What do they think up next? If I were Larry David, I'd be like, an electric pickup truck. Nah, it's pretty bad. But that Silverado commercial, where it turns out at first, I was watching the Super Bowl with my wife and, with my 4-year-old son who's never heard of The Sopranos before. He didn't know what was going on. But like my wife was watching it, and then she was like, oh, they must be remaking The Sopranos. She's not as much of a capitalist as I am, right? She still has like some of those communist fantasies. I'm watching like that's got to be a commercial for a car. I said that instantly. She thought, oh, they must be rebooting The Sopranos. I would love it if they, although I don't know if I would love it if they rebooted The Sopranos, because, they would probably just find a way to ruin it if they tried to bring it back. The Many Saints in Newark, they're making movies about it. It was okay. But no, she thought, oh, they must be bringing the show back. And I thought, no, it's probably a dopey car commercial. But it ended up being a great commercial. And she, Meadow, and AJ Soprano see each other at the end. That was awesome. But no, I thought the FTX Larry David commercial was the best. Now, I don't know if you consider this a hot take or not, but I'm not going to say I enjoyed watching it, but I thought the Coinbase commercial with the QR code dancing on the screen, not an entertaining commercial, but I thought it was brilliant. And I'll tell you why. Most Super Bowl ads, people are just looking to be entertained. Like, oh, there's Larry David. Like, how many of you actually remembered, hey, FTX, that's what the commercial was for. It's a crypto trading platform. And like, how many of you, be honest with me and be honest with yourself. Like after that FTX commercial, which I thought was the most entertaining commercial of the night, did you actually log on to ftx.com and create an account? Probably 95% of you didn't. Maybe some of you have FTX accounts already. I'm big into crypto. Actually, I don't even have an FTX account. I've got BlockFi account, Coinbase, Crypto.com. But I thought the Coinbase commercial was so effective. It was not an entertaining commercial, but 15 million people opened that QR code on their phones during or right after that commercial. It crashed their fucking website. Like, that's an effective commercial. Like, you're not going to be telling your grandkids, like, the way I'll tell my grandkids someday about like the Budweiser, way back in the day, that Super Bowl commercial. Like, this is not the kind you're going to tell your grandkids about, but the commercial freaking worked, man. You talk about turnover. Like, they literally got it. I'm sure probably countless other millions have done it since, but 15 million people during and right after that ad opened up that QR code, which took them to the Coinbase launchpad and was offering people, if you hadn't signed up yet, I'm already a Coinbase user, but they were giving you $15 worth of free Bitcoin when you signed up there, and 15 million people clicked on that QR code. That's effective, right? Because a lot of these Super Bowl commercials, as entertaining as they might be, for my enjoyment, yeah, but how many people, like, did 15 million people go to the Chevy website to look up the electric Silverado? Did 15 million people sign up at ftx.com? Probably not. So I thought that was entertaining. Oh, by the way, Chris is so right. When I said, I don't want them to reboot The Sopranos because they would just ruin it. They're going to ruin The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Bro. I saw the promos and I knew the show was happening because I remember when the news story came out months ago, and I'm like, oh, that's a terrible idea. And now they're actually running the ads for Bel Air. It's it's like the OC or something. That's like an old reference for some of you. It's like a teenage soap opera. So they're taking the characters made famous by, Will Smith, Aunt Viv, Carlton Banks, like they're rebooting it, except it's going to be a serious teen drama type of show. Oh, just if you want to immerse yourself in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air universe, watch the old episodes from the 90s. One of the greatest shows of all time. Like, one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. This new show, I guarantee you, is going to be awful. He says Will Smith approved of this reboot. He's a producer. No, he approved of making money off the reboot, David. You and I both know that very well. Like, Will Smith has made some crap. That's the same guy who made Wild Wild West. All that Will Smith cares about, and I love Will Smith, great actor, but he's about cashing those checks, right? He's getting a producer credit on this. He's going to get a lot of money on this. Like, there's no way. If you were to sit him down in a room with some truth serum, there's no way Will Smith actually thinks rebooting Fresh Prince as a drama, like a teen drama. There's no way he thinks that's a good idea. I think the only teen drama that I've ever actually liked, like beyond the age of like 17, is Euphoria, which is a pretty freaking good show. But there's no way that Bel Air on Peacock is going to be as good as Euphoria is. Do they have Zendaya signed up to be on that show? I think not. So there's no way that's going to be as good. All right, let's get to the actual football, or at least what we can learn from it. Oh, and by the way, I missed this. My wife told me she saw this. I think I was like at the bathroom or getting another beer when they did the ad for this, for the Lord of the Rings TV show. I heard it through the grapevine. It might have even been through David, because David keeps me updated on a lot of this TV news. But I did hear through the grapevine that they were going to be doing a Lord of the Rings TV show. Is it on Amazon, like Prime, something like that? But if they advertised it, I totally missed that. But listen, I may be right there with Level 2 Noob. I may give it a chance. It's probably going to be better than Bel Air, okay? So I think the big thing for me, and I know a lot of Dolphin fans feel this way watching the big game last night, is, okay, what can we learn from these teams? Like, what is it that really separates the Miami Dolphins from, of course, the Los Angeles Rams, who won the Super Bowl, even from the Cincinnati Bengals, who won the AFC, and they got like this close? There's obviously some positives and some negatives here. And you know I love the Miami Dolphins, and you know that I'm bullish on the Mike McDaniel hire. I was having a conversation on Twitter with Level 2 Noob, and like Level 2 Noob, you know, he thought the Dolphins, like he doesn't think it was a good move to give McDaniel. I think he's probably concerned about his lack of experience, and I get that. But I like the McDaniel hire. I do think the guy is legitimately a genius. It's just going to be translating his genius as a head coach and the CEO and the one who delegates, hiring the right people. And I think he's doing a pretty damn good job hiring assistant coaches. That's number one. But, you know, being a head coach is different from being a position coach and being a coordinator. And he's not had the chance to prove that before his Mike McDaniel. So I hope his brilliance can actually translate to being the conductor of the entire orchestra. But I like the Mike McDaniel hire. And I think, if anything, this has potential to be a home run. I troll Tua Tagovailoa fans from time to time on social media, and they hate me, because they don't understand me. The real hardcore Tua fans wouldn't know sarcasm if it hit him in the face like a baseball bat, right? Like, I troll a little bit. I cast out my fishing line, and I catch some of the Tua fans every now and then. But honestly, I think that this McDaniel and the offense that he brings, the Shanahan offense that he's going to be installing here, I think this, to me, could give Mr. Tagovailoa the best possible chance to spread his wings and thrive, because he has a coach who believes in him. He has a coach that is capable of implementing a system that can maximize Tua's strengths while hiding his weaknesses, and what Miami is going to do. And they've got to get the right personnel to do this, right? You have to improve the offensive line, not only by signing new players, but also with the Miami O-line. If you look at a guy like Austin Jackson, for example, he's got a great chance here to actually become a competent NFL O-lineman. And I'm not even specifying between tackle or guard, because they might have found a spot with him at either of those. But Austin Jackson, his strengths, range, speed, athleticism, and those are the most important factors to making an O-lineman successful in the Shanahan outside zone blocking scheme. So even a guy like Austin Jackson, who's entering his third year in the NFL, to this point has been a bust. He actually might have an opportunity to thrive in this particular offense, but you still need to upgrade the personnel at the offensive line. You still need to upgrade the personnel at running back. There are a couple of players, namely Duke Johnson and Phillip Lindsay, who I wouldn't mind keeping in the rotation and in the mix, but you have to upgrade the running back position. You have to upgrade the offensive line, because the Dolphins offense, I think, is going to be a run first, pass second, run to set up the pass type of offense. And I think all of these factors are going to give Tua Tagovailoa, not to mention, you've got an offensive-minded head coach who's going to be calling the plays and he understands how to teach complicated concepts. That was a difficult word for me to say for some reason. Mike McDaniel understands how to teach complicated concepts in a simple fashion. So I think the learning curve for kind of embarking on this new journey for these offensive players is maybe not going to be quite as difficult as some people think, because good coaching can get them there a little bit quickly. And I think you can really get something out of Tua. But I think one of the things that seeing this Bengals versus Rams matchup in Super Bowl 56 from a Bengals perspective, and I know long-suffering Dolphin fans like myself, you hear this and you're like, yeah, but bro, come on. You really going to do this to me? But no, the Rams getting into the Super Bowl and being 4 points away from hoisting the Lombardi trophy. Doesn't that tell you in this league, it's possible to turn things around very quickly? It is possible to. You have to nail your rebuild. The Dolphins clearly didn't. All right. 2 years ago, Miami Dolphins and Cincinnati Bengals were two of the worst teams in the National Football League. Now, apparently, Brian Flores' amazing moral fiber is what kept the Dolphins from losing enough games to have the number 1 overall pick. But you remember when the Dolphins faced the Bengals head-to-head late in the season, Dolphins ended up winning the game in overtime that year. That was essentially the difference in having the number 1 overall pick versus having the number 5 overall pick. So listen, the Cincinnati Bengals, obviously, whether you could say they either tanked better or they just got luckier to fall in the number 1 spot, they had the opportunity to get Joe Burrow. And listen, even if I think Tua Tagovailoa may now have the right coach to take him a lot farther, he's still not Joe Burrow. And I think anybody who's in the chat who will try to argue, no, Tua is just as good or even better than Joe Burrow, just hasn't had the chance to prove it. Argue with your grandma. All right, we don't have time. We don't have time to have that argument today, okay? Tua Tagovailoa is not as good as Joe Burrow. I hope he can be that good someday. But the point is, the Cincinnati Bengals were able to turn it around because 2 years ago, it was a photo finish, and they were worse than the Dolphins 2 seasons ago. And they were worse than the Dolphins last year as well, for what that's worth. So you fast forward 2 years from that whole, are we tanking for Tua? Are we blowing for Burrow? 2 years later, the Cincinnati Bengals drafting well, having patience, right? Because I'm sure that there were times when they had to be wondering, because I know I was wondering, is Zach Taylor really the right guy to be the head coach of that team? So you fast forward 2 years from when the Bengals were worse than the Dolphins. They're in the Super Bowl. They're 4 points away from winning the entire thing. So I think that should give Dolphin fans at least a little bit of optimism, knowing that if you do things the right way, it is possible to turn your team around very quickly in the National Football League. Unfortunately for us, ownership, front office management, this even predates Stephen Ross. Like, Stephen Ross obviously hasn't made anything better, but even in the latter years of Huizenga, the Dolphins were starting to get in that quicksand. Like, we're talking about 20 plus years of not being able to turn a corner. Hell, if you want to go back to the last time the Dolphins won a Super Bowl, you're talking about 1973. So we've been stuck in the mud for this freaking long, but at least the Cincinnati Bengals, their story gives you a glimmer of hope that it's capable of turning things around. It's possible to turn things around very quickly in this league, okay? Now, I believe you have to have, of course, a lot of the right pieces in place. Now, if the Bengals had a better offensive line, they may be hoisting that Lombardi trophy right now. So there's still some work to do there, right? Looks like they've got the right coach. Looks like they've got the right quarterback. Looks like they've got a lot of the right skill position players in place. You can turn things around quickly in this league. Now, I think the Los Angeles Rams are the even more interesting case study, okay? Because that's a team that basically lives out a Pat Riley philosophy in the NFL, right? Because they don't give a shit about draft picks, right? They don't care about building, organically. Everyone talks about, especially in the NFL, more so than the NBA. No. You've got to build young. You've got to build cheap. You've got to develop. That's the only way to get this done. The Los Angeles Rams they get anxiety at the thought of actually using a first round pick in the draft. To them, that's a commodity. That's a trade piece. They're willing to give up whatever to find their quarterback. Now, I'm not saying I was overwhelmed by Matthew Stafford's performance yesterday, okay? If anything, I thought they gave the MVP to the wrong guy, but I wouldn't have given it to Cooper Kupp. I would have given it to Aaron Donald. Like, Matthew Stafford was not anywhere really near the top of that list, but you can say, listen, they saw Jared Goff could only take them so far. They gave up a ton of assets. What was it? 2 firsts and a second and Goff, to rescue Stafford from the football purgatory that is Detroit and build around a better quarterback. And it certainly did make a difference. You look at all the guys that are about. I mean, Aaron Donald may have just played his last NFL game. All the veterans, and they still won that game last night, despite the fact that Odell Beckham, who had a tremendous start and caught that first touchdown, he was injured for most of that game, and that absolutely affected the Los Angeles Rams offense. Like, if you're looking for reasons why the offense just wasn't moving consistently, Odell Beckham getting hurt and going down was a big factor in that. But you think about all the high-priced veterans that they traded away draft picks for and mortgaged the future for to get to that moment and win that Super Bowl. If anything, guys, I look at these two contrasting case studies. The Cincinnati Bengals, who quote-unquote did it the right way, and a big reason for that is what free agent is going to want to go to Cincinnati? I mean, maybe now that they're just, on the cusp of winning a Super Bowl, some might consider it, but you kind of have to build organically there. You don't have to build organically in places like Los Angeles and Miami and theoretically New York, Chicago, and all that. Two teams that got there kind of with opposite methods. I think if the Dolphins can learn anything from this is that half measures and not committing to things, that's what gets you stuck in quicksand. Right? If you want to be a Pat Riley type team, a Los Angeles Rams type team, and go all in on the present, you fucking do it. If you want to really be the organic type of team, you better hope you have tremendous alignment in your front office when you're selecting players. You better hope you've got a general manager who hits a lot more than he misses. I think the jury is still out on Chris Grier because Chris Grier had a lot of hits in 2021, a lot of misses in 2020. Like, you better hope your decision makers are selecting and, developing your coaching staff, developing players, because when you're going the young, inexperienced route, player development is so important. There's not as much player development going on in Los Angeles than there is in Cincinnati because the key players in Los Angeles are getting there 7, 8, 10, sometimes 12 years into their NFL career. They don't need a whole lot of coaching. They just need to get to know each other, shake hands, and play together on Sundays, right? So you've either got to go all in on building organically, having patience with your coaches, having patience with your DMs. Now, the Dolphins weren't very patient with Brian Flores, and maybe it was the right decision to let him go. I hope they give the proper patience, the proper time, and the proper resources to Mike McDaniel because, you got to hope he ends up becoming the next Sean McVay or the next Zach Taylor. So if you're going to be a Bear, be a Grizzly, right? If you're really going to commit to going the veteran route and mortgaging the future, you go all in. If you really want to commit to a tank and a rebuild development, you go all in on that. The Dolphins, unfortunately, have been straddling that fence for way too long, and here we are. Let's bring on our first guest today. And by the way, speaking about going in, our second guest today has been getting flamed on social media because, I'll let him speak for himself when he comes on around 3:30, but he doesn't like the idea of mortgaging the future and putting all your chips on the table to win right now. He would prefer to develop something sustainable. Personally, I think the goal every year is to win a Super Bowl. You do what you can to win that Super Bowl. Worry about tomorrow. If I worry about today and I'm in a position, obviously, a lot of teams aren't just a couple players away. The Los Angeles Rams were a couple of players away. They went out, they got Matthew Stafford. They went out, they got Von Miller. Like, that team was a couple players away. I think you do it, even if it means mortgaging the future to do it, because winning a Super Bowl is the ultimate prize. That's what everyone is trying to do, right? Other people think, well, if you build the right way, maybe the Super Bowl will come, maybe it won't. Let me bring on our guy, Alfredo Arteaga from 3 Yards Per Carry. That is the best Dolphins podcast God ever made. And Alfredo does an awesome job along with Chris and along with Simon. So, Al, first and foremost, man, what did you think of the game last night? You win any money? You lose any money? Did you enjoy the overall experience?
I did that thing that I always do, which is, I bet about $500,000, and at the end of the night, I lost like $20 or maybe $15. I kept like I sat there and I do this every single year. I sat there in my office and I said, you know what? Let me go through all my bets and let me type them out into a nice little note so I could just check them off. And I hit the first bet, which was I called heads, by the way. So I hit that one, and I watched the game and I see Odell Beckham get out to 52 yards on 2 catches, and I bought him at over 60 and a half yards, and I also had him for MVP, and then he gets hurt.
Yeah.
So for a while there, it was looking really, really, really bad. But I hit some props on sacks. I had the Rams over 3.5 sacks. I hit that one. I hit Aaron Donald over 1 sack, and I hit Hendrickson over half a sack. So
nice.
I hit those three. So that kind of saved me from a pretty big loss. But all told, I had the number in front of me. Let's just say that I bet 4 figures. I won. I actually profited $12.25.
Nice. Hey, that's $12.25 more than you had 2 days ago.
That's a pretty good burger somewhere, right?
Yeah,
Like you get a nice burger for $12.25.
Yeah. That's not bad. I think all said and done, and I joked when I opened the episode about being a mush because like I had a ton of props, but the two largest wagers that I had were Rams -4 and over 48.5. I lost both of those, but I think I only finished the night down like $30, which for a Super Bowl Sunday, it's really not that bad. I guarantee you they're didn't that Mattress Mac guy? I know he bet the Bengals, but didn't he bet the Bengals money line, not the spread? If he had bet the spread, he would have won. I think he bet the money line, so that guy's going to be like selling mattresses on the black market to try and make up some of that money he lost.
Yeah, this year I didn't have an opinion. I 4 points, I just didn't like it. So I ended up not betting the game and not betting the total either. So I just bet a bunch of props that I felt were pretty good. I did miss one. Like, I don't know how the hell this happens, but I saw Samaje Perine, and I've been watching him all season. Like, he gets like 3 or 4 carries a game, right?
Yeah.
And he was at over under 2.5 yards. So I'm like, how the hell is he not going to go over? So I bet the over. He had 3 carries for 0 yards yesterday.
Oh, I was going to say, like, I barely even remember him seeing the field.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he actually had 3 opportunities, So,
wow.
Yeah. So very uneventful betting day, which is odd because it keeps happening to me year in and year out. But at least it's better than having a catastrophic loss, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. A couple of little props that like I felt a little bit unlucky on. Like if anything, I thought Joe Burrow, because he's been doing this all playoffs long. He's been getting some key runs, right? So I saw his over under rushing total was 12.5 yards. And I thought, hey, he's going to be flushed out of the pocket. Obviously, he was under a lot of pressure. He's going to have like a couple of decent runs. I think he ended up with and by the way, in the a lot of people shy away from betting the quarterback rushes because they think the stats count against, or they think the sacks count against it, but they don't. They don't count sacks as negative rushing yards, but still, I think Burrow finished the game with like 7 yards. And then I actually had under 2.5 on Matt Stafford rushing yards. I thought, this guy's a freaking statue. What's he going to do? He ended up going way, he had like 15, 17 yards or something. So I lost on the Stafford under and I lost on the Burrow over for quarterback rushing yards. But I think I covered most of the ones that I hit and missed there. So Alf, when you watch every Super Bowl as I do, from the perspective of a Dolphins fan, and what's the big difference between my team and the teams that are playing in this game and winning this game? What do you think the Dolphins can learn from these teams? Because for me, I just thought commit to a philosophy, right? Like the Rams got there and won it by going all in on, the right veteran players, mortgaging the future, kind of selling the future to win today, which is great when it works out, right? The Bengals, they tanked better than the Dolphins did a couple of years ago. They had enough patience with their head coach to get them to this point, and they obviously picked the right players with all their draft picks. They made strategic moves. So, the Dolphins, unfortunately, didn't commit enough to the tank. They've never committed quite enough. I know Stephen Ross has loved him some free agents over the years, but they'd never quite committed in trades and free agency as much as the Rams did. So those are my big takeaways. If you're going to be a Bear, be a Grizzly. Like, really commit to a certain philosophy. The Dolphins have straddled the fence way too much.
Oh, I tend to agree. I think if they saw that game yesterday and you asked me, what can they take away from it? I think they could take away from it that they're really not that far. Because sometimes you watch a Super Bowl and it feels hopeless. It used to be that way. It used to be like the two teams that would make a Super Bowl, like they were just clear cut the two very best teams. A few years ago, when it was Chiefs 49ers, you kind of looked at that field and it was so star-studded, and the 49ers were just so well put together and well coached. And you're thinking, okay, we're pretty far. We don't have that defense, we don't have that running game, we don't have that offensive line, and we don't have Pat Mahomes, right? But then you see something like yesterday, and these were really quick fixes and bandages. And I still can't figure out how the hell Cincinnati was in that game yesterday and had a chance to win. Because, before getting on this show, and I did a little research. I went on and I started looking at all their drafts, their recent drafts. They have a lot of busts, but you know what they don't have busts at? Their top 2 picks each year. And each one of those guys have been, real game-changing type guys, and especially Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase has had a season that's as good as any by a wide receiver in maybe the last 15 years. And they just caught a wave, and it wasn't really Joe Burrow driven, although he does wear nice suits. So, which is one of my favorite lines in Jerry Maguire. I guess it's an okay movie, but it's not very good if you watch it again.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I've actually watched it since like 1998, and I thought it was an incredible movie, but I haven't watched it in like 25 years either.
But there's a scene in there where Rod Tidwell is telling Tom Cruise's character, I'm a really good wide receiver. Why don't these guys want to pay me? Why don't the Cardinals want to pay me? And then Tom Cruise tries to explain to him, you're just not likable, Rod. And Rod is like, are you telling me to dance? and that's the truth.
Yeah.
Like, you're better than you really are if you catch the media's eye, right?
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Joe Burrow has been absolutely spectacular this year, but somehow he's turned himself into this mega celebrity by wearing whatever the hell he's wearing from week to week. But if you watched them all playoff long, they rode a running game and a defense to get here. So that has to give you hope as well, because it wasn't just Joe Burrow lighting everybody up. Now, the difference is that Joe Burrow did get them into the position to win their division and have a home game in the first round of the playoffs. I think that's kind of imperative. I think that's kind of important.
Yeah, and that reminds me, like another of my takeaways, I mentioned this really earlier in the show, I didn't mention it to you, is that a bit of hope that I take from the Cincinnati Bengals situation. I know they didn't win it all, but they got really damn close. They got closer than my Dolphins have gotten since 1985, okay? At least the Bengals show us you can turn things around pretty quickly in this league, right? I know that's a tough sell for some Dolphin fans who are old enough to know, hey, we've kind of been in the same spot for more than 20 years, but at least the Bengals show you can catch lightning in a bottle. Like, every rebuild doesn't need to be a 20-year plus rebuild, right? Like, it is possible to do a rebuild good enough to get yourself to the big game in just a matter of 2 years like the Bengals did. So I think that can give a modicum of hope to Dolphins fans as well. So what's your off-season, I know, but what's your progress report so far on Mike McDaniel from the media conference last week to the staff he's putting together? How do you think he's doing? I think he's doing a damn good job for my part.
Yeah, I think he's doing a very, very good job. Although it's kind of unclear whether Eric Studesville is actually going to stay on as the running backs coach or not. If he leaves, because there's actually 2 reports out there. There's one report saying, oh, he's staying. And there's another report, oh, he got fired. So I don't know. I don't know how you have, and it's 2 very credible people having opposite side reports, right?
Right. And they both can't be true.
Yeah, it's impossible, right? So if he goes, I would say that's the first real loss as far as a coach on this squad. because he's actually really good at his job. And if you've done a little bit of digging, he's kind of been right with some of his evaluations.
Yeah.
And it's not really hearsay. All of that was out there in the media. He's the one who traveled. He only traveled for one guy to go watch him work out and to go work him out personally. That was Jonathan Taylor. One guy is the one that he traveled to go work out. And he also pulled aside at the combine J.K. Dobbins and spoke to him for about 2 hours. And J.K. Dobbins then actually withdrew from the combine. So some people were saying, okay, maybe Studsville told him, you're a first round pick or you're a second round pick for sure. So, if I were you, I wouldn't work out. Or maybe he knew some of his numbers from a private workout. So there's enough evidence out there to suggest that Eric Studsville is very good at his job. And you could go back, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Who signed off on Jay Ajayi in the 5th round? Who signed off on Kenyon Drake? Who signed off on Lamar Miller? All of those guys that worked under and ran under Eric Studsville. So I'd love to see if it's true or not. Last I heard was that he was going to stay on with the staff. But I love what they're doing. And just an aside, the guy that they just hired to be the offensive coordinator, Frank Smith, he developed, I guess you could say he developed, but he also scouted personally and advocated for the drafting of Teron Armstead in New Orleans. He's a very expensive left tackle free agent this year. Kind of perfect fit, no?
Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense that could be a free agent target probably on day one for a lot of dollars, because the offensive coordinator now is the guy that actually scouted him and advocated to draft him. So
nice. Well, listen, I always love chatting with you. Let people know where and when they can find the next episode of 3 Yards Per Carry.
Well, we're gonna have the season finale this week, probably on Wednesday. You can find our podcast on anywhere where you get your podcasts, and it's the number 3 Yards Per Carry. You can see the Twitter handle right there, right under my name. So yeah, look for us. We'll have a podcast out this week, and I'm pretty certain we're gonna have a week off the following week, because then we kick off our 5th season at 3 Yards Per Carry.
Look at you. Well, keep up the good work, man. And yeah, guys, I listen to 3 Yards Per Carry every week and twice a week when they put out 2 episodes a week. It really is a one-stop shop for Dolphins news and info and opinions. Alf, thank you so much, man. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you for having me.
Love it. Alfredo Arteaga, 3 Yards Per Carry. In a second, going to bring in Louis Sung. Before we do, I want to remind you guys, man, I hope you had a chance to watch either UFC 271 out there or the big game, or both. Maybe just camped out there the entire weekend at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. They are the official sports bar of Donno Daily. About once every month, every 2 months, we have watch parties out there where you can come out and meet the 5 Reasons crew. Louis Sung was out there at the last one. I was out there. Ethan is always out there. Brady Hawk is usually out there. Alfredo is usually out there. We have a great time about once a month, once every couple months at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. And guys, you don't have to wait for the next watch party to get out there. The Quarterdeck is the premier spot to grab 2-for-1 happy hour, 2-for-1 drinks all day, every day. The happy hour never ends. How about that? Like, you don't have to go 5 to 7 p.m. You can go at noon and get 2-for-1 happy hour if you want to start your drinking a little bit early, man. The beer is always cold. The seafood is so fresh. I love to build my own poke bowl. I love the sushi. I love the buffalo shrimp. That's my favorite appetizer. The sandwiches and burgers are also awesome at the Quarterdeck. The All-American burger is heavily in my rotation there. The salads are great. I've been dieting like a crazy person like the last 4 months. I've had the Asian chicken salad out there a few times. It's really, really good, man. I'm telling you, it's a great place to watch a big game. It's a great place to watch every UFC pay-per-view fight with 0 cover charge. So if you want to peep their menu and find the location nearest to you before you go, check them out online at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. And guys, even though the big game is behind us, there are plenty of wagers to be had, plenty of money to be made, and lots of fun to be had at betus.com. It is the official sports book of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. BetUS is a full-service online sports book. And yes, it is available in Florida. You can access the entire site in Florida. How good is that, man? So whether you were up big or down on all your Super Bowl props yesterday, guys, Still plenty of money to be made. NBA, bet on every Heat game on there. Bet on all the NHL games. The Florida Panthers having an awesome season. International soccer, I'm betting the Serie A and Champions League at BetUS all the time, my friends. We've got the best bonus in the industry for you. Sign up today at betus.com and use our show code 5RSN125. They're going to ask you if you have a promo code. You do have a promo code, 5RSN125. And when you type in that code, they're going to give you a 125% sign-up bonus. I'm telling you, I've been perusing the sports betting industry for years. I've never seen a bonus this good outside of betus.com. 125% sign-up bonus. Bet sports, props. You can play in their online casino. It's like having Las Vegas in your pocket. I'm telling you, I play blackjack in there for real money, all sorts of table games, slot games. BetUS.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Our next guest, I feel like you've had to explain yourself a lot today on social media. And listen, my problem was I didn't really see the genesis of your point. I saw a lot of like the back and forth with people, and I think Dougley Do-Wrong was part of this as well.
He was the one that I was actually coming to the defense of.
Oh, okay. So you weren't even the originator of this point. This was and Dougley's an awesome. I've spoken to him off the record a few times before. I want to get him on this show at some point, and maybe he'll return the favor. His YouTube channel is awesome as well. But so okay. You can do it better than I can, Lewis. Explain what Dougley said about the Los Angeles Rams and why a lot of people were arguing with him and then arguing with you.
All right. So the main point here is that Dougley's point was that super teams cannot be maintained, right? Okay. So the Los Angeles Rams, they spent all this money on free agency. They dumped all their draft picks into buying superstar players, right? Expensive superstar players.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, yes, they won the chip. That's great. That's fantastic. Every Dolphins fan in the world would be absolutely thrilled with that idea. Doug's point, and also my point, was that you understand now that there is going to be a price to pay. It's time to pay the piper. Yeah. Now that you've done all this, number one is that Aaron Donald, first of all, that has nothing to even do with what Doug's talking about. Aaron Donald may retire, so there's your best player gone. Yeah. Sean McVay might retire because he's on. Which top is of weird because
he's like 37 years old. What was he going to retire for? And I'm not arguing with you because I've seen those reports as well. Like, what the hell is he thinking?
Family, kids, more time with them. He's already made all the money he could ever want, so maybe he's going to engage in crypto and he won't have to worry about it anymore. So.
Right. I wish I had as much money to buy the dips that he has. I wouldn't have to work again either.
So exactly. So there you go. There's one more reason he doesn't feel the need anymore. Not only that, you have no draft picks that are really worth anything for the next several years because you traded them all. You're going to have to dump a ton of your top players because you don't have the money. Like, I'm sorry. There at some point, the salary cap stops being pretend and it starts actually being a thing. You cannot keep everybody. So you're going to lose some key points on that roster that you needed to get you to the Super Bowl. So with that in mind, it's, again, understand that you have paid for this. You have your Super Bowl. Don't be surprised now if the Rams are not necessarily all that special for the next decade. And that was the point, was that it wasn't even about the fact they paid for their Super Bowl. Good for them. They won. They got what they wanted. They won the chip. This was the point that I was making, was more regarding the fans who kept coming at Doug and saying, I would be happy if the Dolphins never won again if it meant they won a Super Bowl. No, I'm positive that that's not true. Like, you like, anybody who says that is lying because it's like, I won a Super Bowl and then next season they go 0-17 and you're happy still? Please give me a break.
Yeah, no, and listen, I understand you added some nuance in there, and maybe people are missing your point. But if I'm just going to answer this debate like on the simplest level, like if you buy yourself a ring, and again, like I sound like I'm disrespecting the Rams when I say it, but they had a very deliberate process to get them that Super Bowl, and it wasn't organically drafting and developing. It was using draft picks and using money under the cap to go out and buy incredible veteran players, right? And it got them what they wanted. Right, exactly. And to that point, as a Dolphin fan, and I know you're a little bit younger than me, but you're basically in the same boat as me because I wasn't old enough to see them win a Super Bowl in 73 or have an undefeated season in 72. I've been essentially in football purgatory or worse for my entire life as a Miami Dolphins fan and an NFL fan. I think the question is the juice worth the squeeze, right? If you could tell me like there is kind of an easy button or a shortcut to build a veteran Super Bowl ready team, I would take it. And I would have to understand that, yeah, a salary cap sport, and you're talking about older players who are aging out. This is not sustainable. And to me, I don't care. I would give anything to get that ring. I would give anything for it. But you're also right, Lewis, that if the Dolphins were to do that, if the Dolphins were to take the route that the Los Angeles Rams just took. Now, you also have to hit on those free agents, by the way. Like the Dolphins have brought in like the Mike Wallaces of the world and the Ndamukong Suhs. Yeah, and they didn't hit on these guys. So you also have to get it right. So you give the Rams credit for doing that. But if you're telling me there's like a shortcut or an easy button, and we know Miami is always an attractive destination for free agents, if there's a shortcut to do it and it's not sustainable, I would take it. And I would have to understand I can't complain about this the next few years. But you're right, a lot of fans would. Now, you brought up the Marlins as an example, right? I mean, they had a disgusting fire sale after the 1997 championship.
And then they did it again in 2003, which was the World Series that I remember.
Yeah.
And I was and mind you, in baseball, there is no cap.
Right.
It's just how rich are you?
Right.
That's their mentality.
Right.
And so if Jeffrey Loria, unless he was like short on cash, there was no excuse for what he did. And that was the thing about it. So that was why I was saying to myself, no, I was not happy. It's like they had this team. It was built. It was done. Let's go out and do it again. So instead, you dumped everybody, and the Marlins became a joke again.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you won your ring, but was it worth the pain now? Can you remember going all the way back? Josh Beckett, the final tag out of Jorge Posada, was that worth it?
For me, yeah. I know I don't speak for everybody. For me, I see. And the other thing is like, and I'm expanding on your point. I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm just expanding on your point because I see the discussions people are having, and a lot of people are saying, well, hold on. I'd rather build a dynasty than a one and done team. Okay, you know how hard it is to build a dynasty? That's my point. It's like, okay, what the New England Patriots did, between 2001 and 2019, the last ring, like there's a reason nobody else has done that. Like it's very, very difficult, right?
Yes,
what the San Antonio Spurs built a while back in the NBA, that was primarily organic, primarily through drafting players. Like there's a reason why that rarely happens. Like, yeah, of course I'd rather build a dynasty, but you know how hard it is to build? You think the Dolphins front office can build a dynasty? I don't think so.
No, I really don't. And you know what? And again, my point was never about that. Listen, I am the one in my off-season plan, by the way, it's going to be coming out, the whole thing soon, is that I'm the one who wants the Dolphins. They have all this money. I want them to use it. Yeah. I want them to use it this year. I want them to blow out the spending this year. But that's, again, the point is not whether or not they should do it or whether it's the right way to win a Super Bowl. The question is, will the fans be satisfied with the one ring? And then after that, like I got a reply in that says, if you told me that the Dolphins would win a Super Bowl in my lifetime and then they would never win again until the day I died, I'd be happy with that. It's like, really? You'd be happy with that? To watch every consecutive year after that, knowing the Dolphins are going to fail, you'd be okay with watching that?
I think I would be. Again, it's like I look at.
There's no point in rooting, though, Donno. You know they're going to fail.
But at least I will die with the memory of a Super Bowl championship, right? And to this point, and listen, I don't know how much time I have left on this spinning rock that we call Earth. Like, my number could get called tomorrow. My number could get called 60 years from now. I don't know how much time I have left, but I'll tell you, man. If I go to the grave in like 2070 or something, and I'm like in bed muttering, well, you know what? I never got to see the Dolphins win a Super Bowl, but I'm really glad they never sold out in free agency. I'm glad they never actually did it, but I'm glad they tried to build a dynasty. I'm satisfied about that. Versus, I'm on my deathbed in 2090, And I can, like, in 2030, the Dolphins decided, fuck it, let's put all our chips on the table. Let's buy some expensive free agents. Let's get a little bit lucky and get the right ones. And they win a Super Bowl in 2030. 60 years later, I'm on my deathbed. You know what I'd be thinking? Thank God my number's about to come up. Oh, I'm so glad I got to watch one freaking Super Bowl. I would appreciate it. And honestly, Lewis, if the people watching this can learn one thing today, treat every championship like it's the last, right? Learn to appreciate. And I've been guilty of this sometimes, Lewis. I remember when the Heat won their first title, 2006, like, the confetti hadn't even all fallen yet in the celebration. And I'm already thinking, do you think we can repeat next year? Do you think we can win another one? And they did end up getting two more, a few years later. But I was like already focused on the next one. 2012, same thing when the Heat won with the big 3-0. 2013, then, can they three-peat in 2014? We all need to exhale and just appreciate a championship, because what I saw the Rams doing yesterday on that field, which happened to be their home field, covered in confetti, passing around the Lombardi Trophy, 37 years on this planet, I've never gotten to watch my Dolphins do it. At this point, I would settle to watch it happen one freaking time.
And I get that. And again, I never said that I didn't want the Dolphins to do that. I would love to watch a Super Bowl. But again, it has to come with that understanding that when the piper comes, you're not going to like the result afterwards. But a lot of people, and that's why I have a hard time believing it when a lot of people say, you just brought up the Heat one, right? Yeah. It's like, are you satisfied with the one ring? No, you're already gearing up for the next one. Let's go get the next one. And they did. Go figure. Good for Miami Heat, LeBron James. And then, let's go for another one, because that's the mentality that happens. Because when it happens, like, you don't think that Rams fans they're enjoying it, but at the same time, they're like, what's going to happen to the team next year? Yeah. Like, I guarantee you they're like dreading how many people they're going to lose now. So that's the thing about it. Everybody who says they'd be happy with it, they can say that now. And no, the Fins tailgate, I'm not satisfied that we don't have a ring. Neither am I. I'm not satisfied either. I want a ring. But like, pretending that you'd be okay with losing afterwards, that was the only point that I had. It's like, let's not act like everybody's going to be A-okay and I can just toss my fandom in the trash because I won one Super Bowl and nothing else matters. Like, there's still next year, and you're not going to be happy. You're not, because that's just how humans are.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right that people will feel that way, and there's a lot of hypocrites out there who say they won't feel that way, and they really, really will. Like, and I see this example a lot in soccer. Okay, and I don't know how many people in this chat follow the Italian Serie A specifically. Maybe some of you are like Premier League glory hunters, or you follow American players, whatever. Like, I'm an actual fan. I'm a hardcore Inter fan, Inter Milan in the Serie A, and they won a title last year, Lewis, a domestic title. And, they had brought in quite a few expensive players, a very expensive manager. And so a lot of the jealous fans of other teams in Italy were trying to say, they bought their title, right? And, they're right in the mix to potentially win another title this year. But a lot of people thought that was not sustainable. They'll never be able to repeat that. And I said, you know what? Sour grapes from a lot of you losers, because a lot of fans of a real loser club in recent years, because they haven't been relevant since they had Francesco Totti. Roma, they don't have a whole lot of money. They are often called like a supermarket club. They have to sell a lot of players. And I keep seeing their fans talking about how, at least unlike Inter, we've got a project. We're building something sustainable. You guys never win shit. Okay, so tell me, we're building this amazing, we're doing it the right way, we're building this organic project. Well, that's going to get you 7th place at the end of the day, right? So I think people need to appreciate the little things, right? That if you win a chance, so that's my message, right? Take whatever championship you can get, whether you build it organically or you buy it or you take a few shortcuts. The goal in every sport, the goal is to win a title. The goal is to win rings, win trophies. That's the goal, and there's more than one way to accomplish it.
Absolutely, and that's why I say that I want the Dolphins to spend a lot of money this year. By all means, they have a very unique opportunity here right now with Mike McDaniel running the show. Tua's going to have an offense that functions for him. They got their new offensive coordinator, who's also an offensive line guy. Listen, if this doesn't fix the offensive line, I don't know what will. And so And so with that in mind, yes, by all means, get to an expensive weapon, get to an expensive offensive line, get to all this stuff that you need to get this thing going. And by all means, let's make a playoff run. Let's do it.
Right.
But if the idea is that I want it now, and I also want it later on too. Okay. I saw one comment in here. The level 2 noob is literally the name. I'm not calling him a noob. It's literally his name. It said, "You're wrong. The Cubs won, and I don't care if they win again. I'll still watch." Okay, great. Don't you want the Cubs to win, or are you okay with watching them lose every day?
So what you're saying is fans are going to want to have their key. They're going to
have their cake and eat it too. Right? Yes, precisely. Yes, the Cubs won. I'm glad for the Cubs. I was rooting for the Cubs. But what are the Cubs doing now? Are you still okay with the fact that they won and you don't care about what happens in the next 5, 10, 15 years of your fandom? Mind you, that's a long way down the road. Yeah. A lot of stuff can change. But again, pretending that you'd be okay, well, at least I got to watch them win once. I got to watch the Marlins win. I'm pissed off at the Marlins.
Yeah, no, I understand it. But I'm more pissed off about the Marlins than I could ever be about the Dolphins. And you touched on it. Baseball's not a salary cap sport. So it's like when you have fire sales, that's on ownership. Like I can understand, like in the NFL, you bring in expensive free agents that may put you over the cap and then you have to go cheap, or you may be signing players who just want to win a ring and retire, and then you have to replace these players. So it's like, it's more understandable. Like I don't expect the Rams ownership to decide next year, you know what, we're just not going to spend money anymore, because that's what the Marlins did. Like the Marlins twice made a conscious decision. We got our ring. Now we want to just collect the profits and count our money. We're going to go cheap. We're going to piss off the fan base. So it was deliberate. Like in the NFL, it doesn't, you have a team that gets too expensive or ages out. It's not necessarily deliberate.
Yeah, it's not deliberate. It's the Marlins, when they did what they did, I was furious. Like, I don't think Pudge was asking for a blank check. He was one of the best guys on the team. I don't think that a lot of those guys were asking for a blank check. And the fact that they were so willing to move on from them, it's incredibly annoying, because you knew that this Marlins team was good enough to win a World Series.
Yeah.
And they didn't keep it together. I understand that football is different. A lot of people are using the examples. Oh, like I'm laughing in Miami Heat language. I'm like, okay, well, basketball is a different sport than football.
Yeah.
It's with basketball, you don't necessarily need a whole roster of studs to get the job done. As long as you have like 2, 3 superstar-like players, the big 3, you've got it. You've got it. And again, I see Cat for life. He's been yelling at me this entire time here, man. He's been yelling at me all this time. I'm not. It's not about next year. You guys are missing. See, that's what I'm talking. Donno, do you see what I'm missing?
I know.
Missing the point is being missed. I'm not saying the Dolphins shouldn't do it. I just literally said 3 times now, I think. Go ahead, spend the money, win the ring. I will celebrate with everybody else. But don't act like you're going to be cool with it if the Dolphins lose next time.
No, and it's well said. And like Lewis is not just speaking for himself. He's speaking for the majority of you, because and everybody in the chat, and I think Lewis agrees with you. Like, no, I want to win now. I want to worry about later.
Win.
But then after you win, don't tell him you're not going to be pissed 2 years later if your team sucks, because you're going to be pissed.
You're going to be pissed. Absolutely. Like, acting like you're not going to be pissed is ridiculous. Like, Pittsburgh fans, they won a Super Bowl with Ben Roethlisberger. That was how long ago now? Like, they say
the last one, what was that, like 2011 or so? 2009? So it was a long time ago. 2009, 10, something like that.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So are Steelers fans happy with that they still won the Super Bowl all the way back when? Or are they looking to fire whoever happens to be in the building?
Well, I wanted to ask you a couple questions before we wrap it up. Okay, so you're watching the game last night. Let's go off the field. What did you think about the commercials? I mean, I thought the MVP was the Larry David FTX commercial.
I mean, that was, I guess that was kind of a funny one. You know what, Donald? I feel like that the commercials are getting less zany and just more like, look, here's this celebrity that you recognize,
right?
Or whatever. And so, like, the commercial that got the biggest reaction out of me, not gonna lie, was the Coinbase one, where it was just a QR code bouncing around the screen. And I was thinking to myself, I'm not scanning that. I have no idea what that is. Like, who hijacked the airways
No, and actually, I'm glad you brought that one up. And I know that a lot of people were pissed off by that commercial because it's just, I don't know, it wasn't funny. Like, there's nothing fun about it. At the same time, I thought it was brilliant. And I'll tell you, like, Lewis, I thought it was brilliant. Now, maybe you didn't scan the QR code. Like, my wife did. She was sitting right next to me and she scanned it. If she hadn't been there, I probably would have scanned it for myself to see what the hell is this. So, okay, people were angry about it because, like, oh, you spent $7 million for a 60-second ad and, like, you bored us to tears. But the thing is, how effective was that? Okay, because, like, I talked about, like, I loved the Larry David commercial for FTX, but, like, how many people actually remembered what they were advertising and then actually went to the website and signed up? Probably I'm sure some people did it, but probably a very low percentage, right? I was talking about, I liked the commercial with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Admittedly, I have no recollection of what it was for. Like, I do not
you want to
remember.
know something?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it was Arnold until like halfway through the commercial.
Really?
I didn't even notice it was him.
But, like, I don't remember what the ad was for. So the Coinbase ad, it was boring. It pissed some people off. But literally during the game, 15 million people scanned and opened that QR code, right? And then when I don't know how many people actually signed up, but I'm sure, the web impressions and when you, because I'm already a Coinbase member, so I couldn't access this deal, but they were offering, $15 worth of Bitcoin for free to the people. So I'm sure a lot of people probably took advantage. I thought that was actually I would be pissed if every commercial was like that. Don't get me wrong. Like, if every commercial was a QR code flying through the air, I'd be like throwing my remote at the TV. But for that one ad, I thought it was brilliant because the actual it crashed their website. Like, the actual turnover from people clicking it ended up being a brilliant ad.
It was brilliant. The idea of a commercial is to make sure that you remember what it was you watched. It's not about pulling out your favorite celebrity. People overestimate the power that celebrities have. Okay. If Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen are sharing lays in different circumstances,
that was a good one.
I mean, yeah, that's great, but it's like, okay, well, what are they doing? They're just eating lays. It's not necessarily. It's just not necessarily funny, man. So
I was going to say something, but I lost my train of thought. Well, let me move on to this then before we wrap it up. What did you think of the halftime show? Now, I'm 37-year-old. It was right in my wheelhouse because honestly, I thought hip hop was at its best when Dre and Eminem and Snoop Dogg, now even like 50 Cent's even a little after my time. Oh, and Mary J. Blige. I love Mary J. Blige. So, like, bro, that brought me back to high school, that commercial. And again, you're a little bit younger than me, so I don't know if this was in your wheelhouse. And I saw some of, like, the 20-somethings on Twitter, like, oh, you had to be, like, in your late 30s to appreciate that halftime show. I thought it was fantastic, and I thought it was a very good performance. And honestly, I wasn't expecting that to be one of my favorite Super Bowl halftime shows. And I'm not sure if it topped, like, Prince, for example, which is, like, number one in my Hall of Fame. But that to me, that's like one of the two or best three halftime shows, like, in recent memory for me.
I really wish you hadn't asked me about the halftime show.
Uh-oh. You didn't like it?
I didn't care. Donno, I'm not gonna here's a reveal about who I am as a person. I'm gonna lose 400 followers over this.
Don't worry about it.
I never
cared.
It's a
safe zone.
I never cared about hip hop. I never cared about rap. I didn't like all these guys. Okay, I'm glad everybody's enjoying it, but this isn't my thing. It's like so I know I lost street points for that, but it's like like Dr. Dre, I'd heard of him. I know who Snoop is. I know what they do. I listen to their music? No. Like the music that I listen to, I don't share the music that I listen to.
Right. Well, no, and listen, for me, it's like it's a generational thing. Like when a few years ago, what was it, Travis Scott, who did a halftime show? I had no idea who that was. Like, honestly, like up until like 10 minutes before the Super Bowl started, like I had no idea who that dude was. So it's for me, it's like right in like my wheelhouse was like late 90s, early 2000s hip hop. So that halftime show really spoke to me. I would imagine that it not speaking to you was kind of like a couple of years ago when Adam Levine did the halftime show. I thought it put me to sleep. Like I thought it was same thing with Justin Timberlake. And you know what? I respect Justin Timberlake as an artist, but I just thought it was a boring ass halftime show. And when was he the one who did the selfie with that kid, which looks so forced? Like it looks so planned out. I just thought that was so dumb. So listen, some people probably love that halftime show. Didn't speak to me whatsoever.
Yep. And I see a lot of people now speculating on the kind of music
You're a
that
big
I enjoy.
Nickelback fan. You've been outed.
No, I don't know who Nickelback is. I've heard of them. I don't know who they are. Listen, if you want, I'm gonna go ahead and reveal this right now. You guys can all make fun of my nerdness later on my Twitter, which is, by the way, it's on my name right there.
Oh.
If you look up the band Crush 40, you'll know exactly what I listen to.
Crush 40. Never heard of them.
You'll never heard of them, and you probably when you look them up, you're gonna be like, oh my God. You're gonna roll your eyes and gonna be like, oh my God.
Oh, and you know what? I know when I lost my train of thought before, I knew what I was going to say. I think one of the reasons why, because a lot of people say like, oh, Super Bowl commercials they're just not as funny as they used to be. I think it's because they're afraid of offending anybody. Like, honestly, I think one of the, like, you don't take like risks in Super Bowl commercials. And listen, I'm not saying I want to see ads that are like racist or homophobic. I'm not saying that, far from it, but like the thing is, like, stand-up comedians like can't even do sets anymore, like without getting canceled. And like these ad agencies, when you're spending $7 million for a what is it, either a 30-second or a 60-second slide, I think it's 30 seconds you spend $7 million for, and you're getting like a whole boardroom together of these lawyers extra. Well, we better not push the envelope here. Why don't we just have a nice shot of the electric car? Why don't we, maybe zoom in on the beer bottle, but make sure to tell everyone to drink responsibly. We don't want to offend anyone. It's like, it's corporate.
One of the probably the most, I didn't particularly care for it, but one of the most shocking commercials of the entire thing was of all the kids with their cans, like drinking the water that looked like it was beer. Like, everybody remembers that one.
Yeah, that's true. That was good. That was one of the few that actually like got creative, and they're like, and you know what? I was watching it with my young child, and he was incredibly offended by it. Like, it looks like they're drinking beer. We need to cancel these people. Like, no, listen, it's
no more canceling. Stop canceling. Yeah. That's the whole problem. Everybody cancels everybody, and nobody wants to do anything anymore.
Exactly. Well, you are now canceled, Lewis. I'm going to say goodbye to you.
Oh!
Lewis D. Sung. Make sure you check out his work at 5.
That's what happens when I tell you that I listen to Crush 40. I'm canceled.
I still haven't had a chance to Google it yet, so
By the way, it's not satanic, Roni. I promise you, it's not. It's not satanic music. Are you kidding? My mom would kill me.
Oh, by the way, are you working on anything at the site this week? Because I enjoy your work.
Yes, I am going to be writing up. I am almost finished writing up my running backs off-season plan. It's gonna be extensive, because what I have in mind for the Dolphins running back, it's a little more on the expensive side, but it's more like on the lines of just people who are good contributors. I don't want to focus so much on one expensive dude and then a bunch of fringe guys. So that's my plan for the Miami Dolphins running back room. You guys can check it out in more detail. And I'm just going to go position by position. I already have my mock draft that I'm going by set. So when you guys, you'll be able to see it very soon. I'm probably going to have it published at least by tomorrow.
Awesome. Well, good stuff, man. We'll talk to you again soon.
All righty. We'll see you soon.
I would never actually cancel Lewis D. Sung unless he really was listening to satanic rock. Then I'd be like, oh, how dare you, sir? How dare you? And by the way, a couple people were asking earlier in the show hey, how come you came on late? Is 4 p.m. the new time? 4 p.m. was the today time. I had two reasons why I had a lot of stuff going on earlier in the day today. I am going to be gone the rest of the week. I'm going to be down in Jamaica. Wife and I are having a slightly belated 10th anniversary trip. So we're going to be out down in Jamaica for the rest of the week. So I'm the type of guy who would like try to do shows on vacation, but the wife would kill me. This is not the type of vacation where I'm going to be doing shows. So I'm going to be out the rest of the week. And we had a whole bunch of stuff we had to do today, including unrelated to the trip. I've told you guys about this before, like parenting, right? I have a second round of family interviews to get my 4-year-old son into a certain preschool for next year. And we had another meeting today, and he got in. So my kid got into the preschool of our choice, which is very exciting. But I didn't get home from that until like 3:20. And so I knew I would have to push back the show a little bit today. So we did the show at 4:00 today. You're not going to see my beautiful face for the rest of the week because I will be down in the Caribbean. But next week, we will be back, and we'll be back at 3 p.m., you know, unless something comes up, right? Sometimes life gets in the way and you have to move things around a little bit. But no, we plan to be back at, you know, the normal time is still going to be 3 p.m., and that will not change. And Jay Mill, you're right. He says work has no place on vacation. I have, you know, I have here and there, I've done a few things on vacations, but this is, you know, this is too big and too expensive of a vacation for me to be working down there. So it is not going to happen this week. It is not going to happen. So, PB Matthew, is that where you're from? That's awesome. Yeah, I've only been down there before, like on, you know, half day stops on a couple of, I don't go cruising that often, but I've been on a few cruises before where we've stopped in Jamaica. So I've only been there for like a half day. We're going to be there for like 6 days this time around. So I am looking forward to spending some time down there, eating some of those. Tell me, by the way, what the food specialties are down there. Like I know I've heard about the meat pies. I'm a big fan of jerk chicken. So jerked anything, meat pies. I'm going to be enjoying some of that down there. So thank you so much. Yeah, and no D&D either this week. We're going to resume that in a couple weeks because I think Steven is going to be out of town next week. So we're going to be resuming that in a couple of weeks. And yeah, be like color commentary. Smash that like button, man. Yeah, we want to have, let's get it. We had a good streak going last week of 100+ likes for a lot of the episodes. Let's do, even if you don't like the show, just hit the like button anyway. It's not hurting anybody, man. It's free. It's free to hit the like button. Guys, I want to make sure before we run that you guys are utilizing the official fantasy sports partner of the 5 Reasons Sports Network, and that is Prize Picks. Hold on, I'm trying to find the graphic. Here it is. I thought somebody deleted the graphic. Here we go, prizepicks.com. Guys, it is you versus the numbers. So many games happening, pro basketball, pro hockey. You select 2, 3, or 4 players. March Madness coming up. You predict if they're going to go over or under their fantasy projection, or they have other specials on various overs, over-unders, various stats. You select 2, 3, 4 players. This combines my love for parlays and daily fantasy. It's so easy to sign up at prizepicks.com or the PrizePicks mobile app. It's very easy to deposit and to withdraw. And guys, when you sign up with our code 5, spell it out. That's FIVE. Sign up with our code 5, and they will match your first deposit 100% up to $100. So they're going to give you some free play money to have a little bit of fun with. I'm telling you, try out Prize Picks. It truly is daily fantasy simplified. I'm an island boy. You know, I was out somewhere shopping yesterday afternoon before the Super Bowl. And for like 2 minutes, I thought I was in the same Target with the Island Boys. Like I could have sworn to God it was them. It just turned out to be 2 other weirdos because I hadn't seen that little Island Boys video in a few months because, you know, they had their 15 minutes of fame and they kind of disappeared. But I saw these 2 like white dudes with like all the tats and like the dreadlocks. And I seriously thought, oh my God, these are the Island Boys. And I actually, like, in thinking for 2 minutes, it was them. Just 2 dudes together who looked like the Island Boys. And I really thought it was them. And like, I wanted to go up to them and like say hi to them because I thought, how weird would this be to have an account? But I wanted to like Google them first to make sure it was really them. And it wasn't them. It was just 2 other weirdos. Like, I'm like, oh no, that's not it's just 2 guys who like stole their style. It was a really, really weird thing. So there are 2 other dudes out there who actually model their style after the Island Boys. I thought it was very odd that there are 2 other human beings on the planet who actually look like those dudes. I'm glad I didn't come up to them because then it would have just been, I'm talking to 2 weirdos. Drew Boo, thank you so much. 2 haters, run for the hills. We got a coach. Cry. I love it. Listen, Drew Boo, I'm a Tua skeptic. I hope this guy wins. I have questioned Tua, and I will continue to question Tua. But if this coach is the one to get him to the chip and to bring out the best in him, I'm all for it because I'm big on Mike McDaniel. I love Mike McDaniel. Cap for life. Thank you so much. He says, no, I'm telling you, it wasn't them. He says, yo, that was them. They were in North. But thing is, like, so they were in North. It is a coincidence if they did happen to be in North Miami yesterday. But I find it hard to believe they went to a Target on like US 1 across the street from Pinecrest. Like, I don't know, man. I'm telling, like, I Googled them and I don't think it was them. I really thought it was them, and that's an amazing coincidence if they happen to be in Miami yesterday, but I wasn't anywhere near North Miami. I was like a half hour south of North Miami. I don't know, man. I don't think that was them. Shake Money, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to throw out as many shout outs as I can. David, thank you so much. Oh, yeah, I do have to get some of that red stripe down there. I like red stripe. Yeah, thank you so much. Is it Joas or Hoas Pierre? I butchered your name. I'm so sorry, but thank you so much for tuning in. Level 2 Noob, Finn's Tailgate, Color Commentary, thank you so much. PB Matthew, thank you so much. Chris C, thank you so much for tuning in today. Dolphin Don, who I almost pulled up a Russian spammer by mistake, but I did not. I resisted. Ronnie, thank you so much. I still haven't had a chance to Google what was the band name that Chris said, or not Chris, Lewis said he was into. I got to Google that when we get off. Was it Crush 40 or something? I got to see what that's all about. And apparently he is not a Nickelback fan, like some people were pegging him to be. Let me see who else. J Mill, thank you so much for tuning in today. We appreciate you. Oh man, it's weird. Like my screen went blank for a minute. I'm trying to throw out shout outs. Dolphin Don, thank you so much for tuning in. I think I may have shouted Cap out already, but Cap is so awesome. You deserve 2 shout outs. T-Bone, thank you so much. Fish need to go balls deep this offseason on trench play. You're not wrong, bro. You are not wrong about that. I mean, they've got like 66 million under the cap. If they spend 50 mil of that just on the offensive line, I would not complain whatsoever. I know it seems boring to some people to invest that much in the O-line, but it is exactly what our Miami Dolphins need. Let me see. Ooh, trying to throw out unique shout outs with so many of the same people. I think Level 2 Noob, I may have shouted you out already. Walk Group of Food Heart Room. If that's like some kind of a charitable organization, thank you so much for what you're doing. That is a mouthful of a name to read, though. That is a lot. That is one heck of a username. Joseph Rodriguez, what's up to you too, sir? Thank you so much for stopping by today. Saxman J. Will, thank you so much for tuning in today. A couple more of these that I got to get out. Oh, Brooklyn Rob, my guy. Always his free agent name to watch, Cordarrelle Patterson. I will keep that in mind. And Brooklyn Rob, as we've talked about, this guy might be best buds with Stephen Ross, and he's keeping it a secret because he seems to know every move the Dolphins will and won't make. He has been batting 1,000 this offseason. Like, it's crazy. Like, I doubted Brooklyn Rob at first because he's like, I have sources. I'm like, yeah, sure you do, bro. Sure you. But no, he's been legit, man. I don't have time to run down everything that he's gotten right over the last couple months. We've done it before on the show. He is batting 1,000. Like, Brooklyn Rob knows things, man. Joe C, thank you so much for tuning in. Shake Money, may have shouted you out already. You get double shout outs. Indade, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you guys. And again, if you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button. Smash the like button and subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube. Let's see who else. If there's anybody else, Zachary B, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. Ricky J. Mark, my guy. He was trying to get past the gatekeeper today. Maybe tomorrow. I'll be in Jamaica tomorrow. Maybe next time, Ricky. Guys, I'm not done making content today, as I've been doing for the last few weeks, and I'm very proud and very happy to do it. I'm going to be filling in for the man, the myth, the legend, Larry Bluestein tonight. I'll be hosting his South Florida High School sports show, which is starting in less than an hour. Join me in about 47 minutes on 560 WQAM, or if you're out of market or if you just don't have a radio like in your house, a lot of people don't, you can listen on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. It's a free app, or you can use Odyssey.com and listen to the South Florida High School sports show. I've been filling in for Blue. Blue's actually at home now, which is fantastic. And I want to throw a special shout out to Larry Bluestein. He is a Los Angeles Rams fan. He has been a Rams fan since, before they were in St. Louis, when they were in Los Angeles. He's been a Rams fan forever. He's hardcore. He's not a bandwagoner Larry Bluestein is a huge Rams fan, so I'm sure, with all he's been through over the last month and a half, it must have been delightful for him to watch his team win that Super Bowl last night. So shout out to Larry Bluestein. You are the man. Continue to feel better. I'll be hosting for him at 6:00 on 560 WQAM. And yeah, thanks everyone. Make sure you support our sponsors. We talked about Prize Picks. We talked about the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Guys, get out there for happy hour. Get out there for a mahi-mahi sandwich, a burger, cold beer. I'm telling you, you will not regret it. The Quarterdeck is awesome. And make sure you support our official sportsbook, betus.com. Fully available in Florida, by the way. Use our code 5RSN125 for a 125% sign-up bonus. You bet, you win. You get paid. BetUS.com. We'll talk to you guys again in about a week's time right here on Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.